Before we begin this video, know that this video will indulge in political topics that may wait, actually no, if you're getting triggered by politics or want to discuss politics in my comment section, then please get off the channel and go somewhere else. This YouTube channel is nowhere near meant to be political. I want to keep those rabid political teenagers away and keep this as a fun, apolitical channel. But yeah, there are political topics in this, so fun. Oshinoko, an anime about the dark side of the entertainment industry. Communism, an ideology filled with trial and error. These two subjects have one thing in common: being dark and sad. So what if we were to mix these two together? Why am I even creating a hook for this? This video is already stupid enough that it needs to be. Before we actually begin this shitpost of a video, I'm going to do a quick summary of the story of Oshinoko. I'm only going to do the anime, since the manga is still being written, and I haven't read the manga. Yes, clown me in the comments. Just so you know, this summary of Oshinoko is a gross oversimplification, and I'd recommend watching the anime for better knowledge and understanding of the subject. Oshinoko opens us up to seeing a doctor at a hospital named Goro Amamiya, who seems to have gone a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for a 16-year-old idol named Ai Hoshino. Like, this seems like a rather odd obsession you have here, Goro. However, we find out that he has taken an interest in Ai and idols because he once met a patient at the hospital he works at named Sarina Tendoji? I am so sorry if I am butchering these pronunciations. Sarina was a big fan of idols and hoped to be one day if she was able to recover from her sickness. We saw that Goro and Sarina had a very wholesome and loving relationship. And then she died. Goro saw a love for idols as a way to reconnect with Sarina, even if it is a very odd obsession he's got going on here. But oh well, all idol fans most likely will never get the chance to meet their idol in person. Oh, would you just look at that! It seems that Goro's favorite idol, Ai Hoshino, is at the hospital he works at. I wonder what the reason could be. Oh my gosh. So Ai Hoshino got pregnant, even if that is not the best decision to make as an idol. But Goro is now able to see her in person, and after a conversation they have one night, the two become close to each other, trusting one another, feeling comfortable, and Goro gives Ai some needed care until it is the birthday for the babies. And then Goro f***ing dies. Aw man, it looks like the story's already over. And he's drawing his last breaths.
Hey, wait a minute.
Well, it seems that reincarnation exists in this world, and it has done wonders by gifting Goro the spot of being one of Ai Hoshino's children. His new name now is Aquamarine, but everyone's just gonna call him Aqua, it doesn't really matter. Life seems like it's gonna be in the bag for Aqua now. Alright, there was another kid actually. So Aqua has a sister that's named Ruby, and psst, let me let you in on a little secret. Ruby may or may not be linked to Aqua in his past life. The rest of our first episode revolves around Aqua and Ruby and their new lives. They do many fun things, like traumatize a babysitter, or go viral by doing something that a normal infant should not do. But the thing is that Aqua and Ruby must be kept a secret in order for Ai to keep her job, because, you know, idols aren't supposed to have kids. So Aqua and Ruby are shown to be the kids of their babysitter, Miyako. Somehow Aqua's shenanigans managed to get him into an acting career. And with this acting career, Aqua meets another child actress named Kana Arima, who is supposedly the MPV when it comes to child acting. At least in baking soda licking, the two are set to star in a film together, and everyone is blown away at how good Aqua's acting is.
Hey you! You're finally awake.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Even makes Kana have a tantrum. As our episode progresses, we learn a bit more about Ai Hoshino's story, and how she faces mean backlash as an idol, and her story of tragedy. Like not being loved when she was a child, nor feeling any love herself. And she joined the idol industry hoping that one day her lies of her saying I love you could one day finally come true. And she knows that these lies are causing pain. and she knows that one day she may pay the consequences. Which she unfortunately does one day, when a stalker fan kills her, and Ai has a sad and tragic death in front of her kids. I kid you not, I was actually shedding some tears when this scene occurred. After Ai's death, Aqua and Ruby are taken in as the actual kids of Miyako now, and the two are devastated at the loss of their mother. However, Aqua starts to piece together the possibility that the person who killed Ai may be in fact linked with the person who got Ai pregnant in the first place, his father. So a mission is set in stone for Aqua, as he makes it his life goal to make Ai's killer receive proper treatment and judgment. Oh crap, we still have like 10 episodes left to go through, and this video is already going to be long enough than it is. Okay, let me just speed through the rest of these episodes real quick. Episode 2, Ruby wants to be an idol just like her mother, but Aqua is sabotaging her attempts in becoming an idol in order to prevent another Ai situation. However, they eventually give in to Ruby's dreams and re-establish Ai's old owning company for idol recruitment as Aqua and Ruby begin high school and meet Kana again. Episode 3, Aqua, Kana, and Ruby are reunited again, and Aqua and Kana talk to one another, and Kana tries to get Aqua to act in a manga live-action adaptation because all the actors suck, but Aqua refuses to join until he hears that the director of the show is linked to Ai Hoshino, which he decides to join. And upon seeing the budget, he can tell that this adaptation is indeed ass. Episode 4, Aqua and Kana turn the ass show into a good one with their good acting, and Aqua gets close with the director to discuss Ai Hoshino, and the director says Aqua can only hear more about Ai if he joins a dating show. Meanwhile, Ruby and Aqua are doing sillies at their first day in high school. Episode 5, Ruby gets Aqua to convince Kana to join Ruby in her idol career, making Ruby and Kana idols, but they still need one more idol before they can begin idling. Meanwhile, Ruby and Kana see the dating show that Aqua has joined and are not happy with what he's doing. Aqua meets multiple people, including a shy girl named Akane and an influencer named Memcho. Aqua does the basic dating show stuff while despising it, but oh well, he needs the info on Ai. Meanwhile, Kana and Ruby get training from another YouTuber named Pieon to grow their popularity before they can perform as idols. Episode 6, we focus on Aqua's dating show once again, but we notice that quiet girl Akane is not being very well received by her fans, where she is being harassed and she tries to do better on the show, but she messes up, and eventually gets depressed and tries to commit suicide, but Aqua saves her. Okay, seriously, this episode showed us how mean and messed up people on social media are. Episode 7, as Akane recovers from her attempted suicide, Aqua and the cast of the dating show decide to work together to create a tribute that would try to tone down the harassment of Akane, which the video does work and Akane feels better, and to try to make her a quote-unquote better character on the dating show, the cast asks Aqua what her perfect girl is, which she replies with Ai Hoshino. Yeah, that's a bit weird. Akane notes this and does research on Ai, and she manages to pull off an almost perfect imitation of Ai that even shocks Aqua. Episode 8, with Akane's new personality, she becomes more well-liked and even seems to have made Aqua have feelings for her, and the two become a quote-unquote couple at the end of the show. However, Aqua claims the relationship is only for the camera and that they are just friends outside of the show. Aqua and Kana also have a little game of baseball. At the end of this episode, after the show ending party, Aqua manages to recruit Memcho to be an idol alongside Kana and Ruby. Episode 9, after Memcho joins, we find out that she was lying about her age and that she's not 18 years old, but in fact 26 years old. But she was only doing this because she had practically spent her entire high school years caring for her sick mother. Aqua gets more info on Ai from the director after the deal they had, and we get closer to finding out who Aqua's father could be. Meanwhile, Memcho, Ruby, and Kana are working on the skills to ensure they can be great idols, doing karaoke, dancing, all that stuff, but Kana seems to be very hesitant with her actions and words. Episode 10, we see Kana having more of an attitude, especially towards Aqua, possibly due to the whole Akane situation, so Aqua decides to dress up as Pieon to encourage Kana to do better. However, Kana eventually falls in love with Pieon and is shocked when she finds out that Pieon was actually Aqua this whole day. The day has finally come for Ruby, Memcho, and Kana's first idol performance, and we see the interesting conditions that idols face, and Ruby and Kana have an exchange of feelings. Episode 11, season finale time. Kana, Ruby, and Memcho have their first idol performance, which they do really well on, but Kana feels that no one sees her, until Aqua does an amazing dance as support. On the way home, Kana finds out how Aqua and Akane's relationship really is, and we discover that Kana has had feelings for Aqua. Speaking of Akane, we find out that Kana and Akane have beef with each other, and it shows a bit of a creepy side of Akane. At the end of this episode, we see Aqua continuing his path of revenge for Ai, and the beginning of Ruby's idol career. There! It's finally done! The recap. Psst. Future Dutch Bull here. So this recap was for Season 1 of Oshinoko, and as of voicing this audio right now, a teaser of Season 2 has just dropped, and information has stated that the second season of Oshinoko is streaming in July. So just so you know, this may be outdated depending on when this video is finished, so... As for Japan, the country this all takes place in, it is a relatively developed and industrious nation, being the backbone of engineering and entertainment, and currently is a parliamentary state with a constitutional monarchy. And although Japan may seem like a futuristic utopia, it definitely still has its problems. Now we get to the big boy topic. Now, before we actually talk about what communism is, I think you can guess by my nationality that this is going to be a pretty biased definition, so take my definition of communism with a grain of salt. Communism originated from a philosophy derived from a German man named Karl Marx, and Marx got together with another German man named Friedrich Engels to write the Communist Manifesto. This manifesto detailed the problems of our economic society, like struggles between the classes in the class system, and the problem of existing political and economic systems. And this manifesto strived for ideas such as the abolishment of private property, overthrowing the government and replacing the government with a worker society, and strived for socialist ideas like true equality and the majority of things being publicly owned. This ideology would be tested out when a Russian man named Vladimir Lenin would lead a revolution and later a civil war against the Russian imperial regime, and would build what would become the Soviet Union. Communism would have worked in theory, but there were some outside factors and poor management that led it to not be as great as it sounded. Lenin would later die, and Stalin would take over ruling of the Soviet Union, where he would do questionable actions with his communist regime. Later, meanwhile in China, after the Chinese Civil War, a man named Mao Zedong would take control of China under the Chinese Communist Party, and would also push his own questionable actions. The rest of communist history can be described as a quote-unquote clusterfuck, but that is as simple as I can get it. Now, without further ado, let us begin our scenario. Now, when we create our communist Japan, keep in mind that there are many scenarios we could go down. I'm simply going to narrow them down to after World War II and during the Cold War, since the Cold War is arguably where communism took off, and I'm not too educated on Japan pre-World War II. We could have the idea of Japan having a communist revolution during the Cold War, but considering that the US had been occupying Japan from 1945 to 1952, an interaction would probably go along the lines of,
I will burn this planet down.
Or Japan could have been like Cuba, I don't know. This is what's hard with thinking of alternate history scenarios, because you have to think about all the possibilities that could occur. Okay, you know what, let's just go with this scenario. You see all these Soviet Red Army forces over here? What if we just selected them, copied them, pasted them over here? We should take the Red Army and push it somewhere else. So the Soviet Union conducts a land invasion of Japan. We are going to completely ignore the extremely high casualty count this would result in, but now we have our communist Japan. A puppet communist government is set up, it shifts towards Maoist beliefs after China becomes communist, putting Japan under Marxist-Leninism Maoism. We're not going to discuss what happens in Korea or any other bit of history outside of Japan because this scenario is already more crazy than it needs to be. Now we need to discuss our next section. Now the moment you all, or maybe no one, I don't know, have been waiting for. How does Oshinoko change under a new shade of red?